Truth Unveiled here, and today I have some very disturbing information to share with you. I'm going to be talking about battle tanks that have been seen all over the place in the past week, as well as tell you the bigger agenda because there's always an agenda with everything. And I'm here at IntelliHub, and it says hundreds of M1 Abrams battle tanks spotted in Houston or rail train. Now, I know this was last week, but the reason I'm talking about this now is because I want to share with you the bigger agenda behind this. And the question is, what are they getting ready for? So this is from IntelliHub, and it says several rail trains have been spotted moving through the area this week carrying hundreds of U.S. M1 Abrams battle tanks. Several locals reported seeing a train Tuesday loaded full of tanks painted in a desert tan color. As of now, the rail's train's destination is unknown. You can send more if you find any to IntelliHub. And here's the video that you can watch, which I'll leave a link for below. Oh, but if you thought it was just here in Texas, no, think again, because it's also in California and Wisconsin as well. Is the military getting ready for something this summer? Oh, I'll tell you what the military is getting ready for and what your government's vehemently preparing for. I'll even tell you and show you with government documents to prove it even too. But it goes on to say that another rail trail loaded with tons of military vehicles and equipment was spotted and filmed at the Cajun Pass between Southern California's San Bernardino Mountains and the San Gabriel Mountains on Tuesday. The Union Pacific train was carrying a high number of U.S. military tanks and artillery batteries. What are they getting ready for? The train's destination is currently unknown. Additionally, there was another similar sighting in Wisconsin, which is what we just went over earlier ago. So the question you should be wondering and thinking about is why all of the preparation? And not only that, you can also even look at YouTube and you can even type in military tanks, where many people have seen and filmed the military tanks as well as trains and shackles on trains to FEMA trains. I wonder what they're getting ready for. Do you think they're just seeing things? Do you think this is all just photoshopped? I hope not, and I hope your eyes are open to what's going on and that you're seeing the world around you and you're seeing the warning signs ahead of time. Now, Zero Hedge also talks about those Abram tanks that were in Texas last week, and I'm going to leave a link for that below so you can see that as well. But what I really want to turn your attention to is the program that allows and funds these military tanks to be seen, the ones that you saw in Ferguson as well as Baltimore. It's only going to get worse from here, and I'm going to prove that because, like I said, it's real interesting what they're doing. What are they getting ready for? I'll tell you in just a second. And later on in this video, I'll actually show you of actual proof of what military tanks and other very suspicious vehicles that they are preparing for and training for. So I'm here at Newsweek, and it says how America's police became an army, the 1033 program, and that's what I want to turn your attention to right now in case you have not heard of it before. But it's called the 1033 program. Very interesting and suspicious indeed, I know. But this program gives what? The government the so-called right to fund military tanks and all the military in America. And we're going to go over more of that in a second. But it says from here, from Newsweek, it says, as many have noted, Ferguson, Missouri currently looks like a war zone, and its police, knitted out with Marine issue camouflage and military grade body armor, toting short barrel assault rifles, and rolling around in armored vehicles, are indistinguishable from soldiers. America has been quietly arming its police for battle since the early 1990s. Faced with the bloated military and what it perceived as a worsening drug crisis, the 101st Congress in 1990 enacted the National Defense Authorization Act, or the NDAA. Section 1208 of the NDAA allows the Secretary of Defense to transfer to federal and state agencies personal property of the Department of Defense, including small arms and ammunition that the Secretary determines is A, suitable for use by such agencies in counter-drug activities, and B, access to the needs of the Department of Defense. It was called the 1208 program. In 1996, Congress replaced Section 1208 with Section 1033. And as you can see, what Small arms and ammunition. Does that explain why DHS is arming itself with billions and billions of rounds of ammunition, enough to supply a 20-year civil war in Iraq? Is that what they're getting ready for? Not only that, but the NDAA, what does that give your government the right to do? To fund so-called FEMA camps and to place you into FEMA camps and to turn America into the military police state. That is what this act can do, so-called legally, not to mention the executive orders that your lovely presidents have signed into office, which basically give the so-called right to put you into FEMA camps and to separate you from your family and from your home in a case of a so-called emergency. And that's all we've been hearing about with our government preparing for emergencies and zombie apocalypses. Why are they preparing for all this? What are they preparing for, and what are they getting ready for? And what does it have to do with all this military equipment that you're seeing? Oh, you're about to find out in just a moment. Now I'm here at Wikipedia and it talks about the 1033 program, and like I said, I'm going to talk about this, but I'm also going to talk more about these FEMA camps and what it has to do with these military vehicles and military tanks and why it explains and exposes these military tanks. But it says from Wikipedia that the 1033 program was created by the National Defense Authorization Act, or the NDAA, of the fiscal year 1997 as part of the U.S. government's Defense Logistics Agency Disposition Services, or the DLA, to transfer excess military equipment to civilian law enforcement agency. Why would they need to do that to begin with? As of 2014, 8,000 local law enforcement agencies participated in the reutilization program that has transferred $5.1 billion and military hardware from the Department of Defense to local American law enforcement agencies since 1997. According to the DLA, material worth $449 million was transferred in 2013 alone. The most commonly obtained item from the 1033 program is DEMILA items, which fall off the inventory after 1 year of ownership. Some of the most commonly requested items include cold weather clothing, sandbags, medical supplies, sleeping bags, flashlights, and electrical wiring. Small arms and vehicles such as aircraft, watercraft, and armored vehicles have also been obtained. I wonder why that is. What are they getting ready for? Now, the Wikipedia article goes on to talk about the 1033 program and the history behind it, but here I am at the Defense Logistics Agency Disposition Services, the actual website, and it says Law Enforcement Support Office. Now, it talks about certain presentations and what you need to know about the 1033 program because this program is so important. Now, we already talked about when and why the program was created. Now it says who runs the program. The program came under the Defense Logistic Agency's jurisdiction in October of 1995. The Law Enforcement Support Office, or the LESO, located at DLA Disposition Services headquarters in Battle Creek, Michigan, oversees the program. Then it says what controls does the program have. For states to participate in the program, they must each set up a business relationship with DLA through a memorandum of agreement, or an MOA. Each participating state's governor is required to appoint a state coordinator to ensure the program is used correctly by the participating law enforcement agencies. The state coordinators are expected to maintain property accountability records and to investigate any alleged misuse of property, and in certain cases to report violations of the memorandum of agreement to DLA. State coordinators are aggressive in suspending law enforcement agencies who abuse this program. In other words, they can't tell you that they get in ready for martial law. It's supposed to be a secret. But anyway, it goes on to say, additionally, DLA has a compliance review program. The program's objective is to have the LESO staff visit each state coordinator and assist him or her in ensuring that property accountability records are properly maintained, minimizing the potential for fraud, waste, and abuse. And many people who are in the military and in the police, or in the police force, they know darn well that our government's preparing for martial law. Firefighters and those who work for the state and the government as well, they know darn well that that's what our government's been training for and getting ready for the past 15, 20 years, if not sooner. So it's just interesting and suspicious indeed. Now, who participates? It says over 8,000 federal and state law enforcement agencies from all 50 states and U.S. territories participate. And it says, how does the program work? Once law enforcement agencies have been approved to participate in the program by the state coordinator and the law Enforcement Support Office, or the LESO, the law enforcement agencies then appoint officials to visit their local DLA disposition services site. They will screen property and place requests for specific items by submitting requisitions on the Enterprise Business Portal RTD webpage. The item must have a justification and be approved by both the state coordinator and the LESO staff. Law enforcement agencies that receive approval for property must cover all transportation and or shipping costs. Then it talks about what organizations have access, what materials available, what are some ways law enforcement agencies use the equipment that are required. It says that they use it in a variety of ways. For instance, four-wheel drive vehicles are used to interrupt drug harvesting, haul away marijuana, patrol streets, and conduct surveillance. You mean like martial law? You mean like emergency drills? You mean like in the state of emergency civil unrest? Is that what they're talking about? Then it goes on to say it also helps with the agency's general equipment needs, such as file cabinets, copiers, and fax machines that they need but perhaps are unable to afford, not to mention helping out with FEMA camps as well. Now, this website is the actual Defense Logistics Agency Law Enforcement Support Officer LESO website, where you could find more information about this program and how to join if you would like to, or if you're an organization that would like to join. Now, it talks about how this originated from the NDAA, which we went over, and it talks about how they can have the so-called right to fund these tanks and fund these military tanks. That's how they get their funding from the government, and they work with law enforcement in order to do it. And they know darn well that when martial law is declared in America and when the economy collapses, that the UN, or the United Nations, is going to be the head of the USA, or should I say the corporation of the United States. And that's where you're going to see the military police state, and that's when you're going to see all these so-called foreign soldiers, many of which could be cloned. Don't be surprised when you start seeing these things, but it's good to know ahead of time, and it's good to know just who's funding it and just where it's coming from. Now, before I take you to some pictures that have been sent my way regarding military tanks and other eerie, suspicious things that the government is preparing for, I would like to turn your attention to H.R. 645, which is the text of the National Emergency Centers Establishment Act that was introduced as a bill to Congress at the 111th Congress First Session on January 22nd, 2009, and this is from govtrack.us, and this is one of Congress's bills. Now, what's interesting about this bill is that first of all, it was introduced when? Around the time of Mr. Obama's presidency, right when he got into office. Oh, that's interesting. Not only that, but this bill, has the so-called right to fund FEMA camps and fund emergency centers in case of an emergency. What emergency centers do you think they're funding? Why do you think they're funding these emergency centers and have this bill to begin with? Do you think they're just doing this because they have nothing better to do? Do you think they're just doing it because, that's all we can do, and we don't have anything else that we're trying to do? No, they're funding it for martial law and these FEMA camps, to put you into FEMA camps and to quarantine you with the so-called pandemic, and they're already testing that with the Zika virus hoax. I hope you're seeing the bigger agenda and what they're leading to and what they're getting ready for. It's all a big test for the big one. That's what they're getting ready for, and they're staging, and they're going to stage all these earthquakes and all this stuff at strategic locations so that they can get ready for this stuff. But they're mentally conditioning you into thinking that, oh, predictions are being made. No predictions are being made. They know exactly what they're doing. They, as in the government, HARP, CERN, and the Jewish Zionists, all of them, they know exactly what they're doing. But the question is, do you know what they're doing? Now, this is a picture that one of you all, viewers like you, have sent my way. And thank you all once again for sending me your pictures. And thank you all once again for sending me all the details and intel that comes your way, because we all need to be watchful and vigilant of the world around us. But as you can see, what does that car say? What does it say? Special Operations Unit Zombie Response. I've done a video about a month ago that talked about your government preparing for the zombie apocalypse. Do you just think they're doing this for fun? Do you think this vehicle is just out here for fun because they have nothing better to do, because they want to look all cool and calm and collected and blend in with the rest of the world? No, there's a bigger agenda, and I hope you're seeing what that agenda really is. Now, I know this picture is a little bit harder to see, but this is showing a gas station, and at this gas station, this is showing a truck, and look what it's holding, and look what's on the truck. Military tanks on the truck being delivered and transported somewhere. I'm telling you, what are they getting ready for? And by the way, if you all have any pictures of things like this that you're seeing on the roads, please send it to me my way, because I'm telling you, it's only getting worse from here. Please seek Yahuwah and his true son Yahusha so that you can be ready to stand in that evil day and see the warning signs ahead of time. This is Truth Unveiled here. Shalom.